To hear this and many more audiobooks not available on YouTube in a podcast feed, please visit the first link in the description below, and thank you for your support. The Governance of China, Volume 4, by Xi Jinping, Audiobook Part 5, Epidemic Response and Socioeconomic Development. Priorities in Epidemic Prevention and Control. Part of the speech at a meeting of the Standing Committee of the Political Bureau of the 19th CPC Central Committee on a Novel Coronavirus Response, February 3rd, 2020. Our novel coronavirus prevention and control is directly related to people's lives and health, economic development, social stability, and opening up. To contain the virus and win this battle, we must race against time, fight with confidence, strength, and unity, and adopt a science-based approach and a targeted response. The current priorities in our work are as follows. First, strengthen unified leadership. We need to ensure a coordinated national response. Party committees and governments at all levels must follow the unified command, coordination, and arrangements of the party's central leadership to ensure proper execution of orders. Provincial authorities and central departments are generally doing well in carrying out the decisions and plans of the central leadership. But there are still some weaknesses and problems, and we need to direct our attention to them, make improvements, and close loopholes. Virus prevention and control is not only a medical and health issue. It is a battle across various fields, and all sectors should engage in the battle and strive for victory. The situation is constantly changing, leading to new developments and challenges in every aspect of our work. We need to keep close track of the situation, make timely analyses, respond promptly, and act with resolve. When taking measures to contain the novel coronavirus, provincial authorities and central departments should take into account not only their own needs, but also the impact on virus response in key regions and at the national level. We should not hesitate to criticize those who failed to effectively implement the decisions and plans of the central leadership, and we should urge them to rectify their conduct immediately. In the case of those who are insubordinate and do not obey the unified command and arrangements, those who shirk their responsibilities, only make a perfunctory effort, or pass the buck, we should hold those individuals directly in charge accountable, and in serious cases, look into the responsibilities of the principal party and government leaders. Those found guilty of malfeasance or dereliction of duty must be punished in accordance with party discipline and the law. Second, strengthen virus prevention and control in key regions. Only when we succeed in bringing this virus under control in key regions can we turn the tide across the country. We must focus on coordinating prevention and treatment forces across regions, pool medical resources, and protective equipment on the front line, and prioritize the needs of medical workers and patients. Hubei Province, and especially Wuhan City, remains the top priority in our national effort to contain the novel coronavirus. Most infected people in other parts of our country have had contact with people from Hubei. As long as we keep the virus in Hubei under control, we will be able to ensure overall stability in the country as a whole. Within Hubei, we must continue to strengthen prevention and control in all respects. The principle of early detection, reporting, quarantine, and treatment should be strictly applied. In addition, novel coronavirus surveillance should be heightened. Infected people must be hospitalized and treated in designated medical facilities, and all close contacts are required to remain under medical observation at home. At the same time, we must enforce stricter measures to prevent the virus from spreading beyond Hubei. We closed all outbound channels including planes, trains, highways, and waterways, which played an important role in the national fight against the novel coronavirus. But we cannot ignore the potential hazard from the outflow of people before the restrictions were implemented. Recently, the novel coronavirus has been spreading rapidly in the neighboring provinces of Hubei and in provinces with large population flows, as shown in the fast-growing number of new cases. To contain the virus, local party committees and governments must fulfill their responsibilities. Grid-based community management should be strengthened. A thorough screening is to be carried out to ensure no one is left unchecked, and stricter, more targeted, and more effective measures should be adopted. To prevent the coronavirus from spreading through the movement of population, we need to identify risks and weaknesses in the management of people returning from seriously infected regions, emphasize the responsibilities of the authorities in places of departure and arrival, and carry out strict health monitoring for passengers and disinfection and ventilation of transport stations. Beijing holds a position of unique importance, but it now faces increasing pressure as a large number of people are now returning. To put a brake on the spread of the coronavirus, we must improve our response measures, reinforce management of key groups, cut mobile sources of infection, and reduce population flows, and close personal contact. Third, increase the admission and cure rates and reduce the infection and fatality rates, which is currently our crucial task. Hospitals solely for admitting and treating coronavirus patients should be completed and brought into service as soon as possible. We must continue to dispatch medical personnel from all over the country to Wuhan and the rest of Hubei as needed, while ensuring their own physical and mental health. We must arrange the disposition of these professionals based on overall plans, gathering together the most competent and the most experienced to coordinate the treatment of severe cases and reduce mortality. Where conditions permit, areas of high incidence of the disease can adopt the Xiaotangshan Hospital model to strengthen treatment. Footnote 1. This is a countermeasure to curb the spread of infectious respiratory illnesses. Temporary hospitals meeting infection control standards are built to admit infected patients, and medical workers and resources are gathered there to provide them with the best treatment. In April 2003, Beijing built the Xiaotangshan Hospital to treat SARS cases to control the spread of the disease. As a response to the COVID-19 epidemic, the Huoshenshan and Leishenshan hospitals in Wuhan and the central government-aided emergency hospital in Hong Kong were built following this model. End of footnote. In the treatment of severe cases, prompt efforts should be made to replicate the most effective practices of other hospitals. Fourth, redouble our efforts in scientific research. Novel coronavirus cannot be beaten without science. It is essential that we scientifically determine the origin of the virus, identify the infection sources and transmission routes as quickly as possible, keep close track of virus mutations, and develop the appropriate response strategies and measures. As I said back in 2016, we should encourage competition to make breakthroughs in core technologies in key fields. Anyone who can make such breakthroughs should be given the opportunity regardless of their background. With regard to the R&D of vaccines and medicines, it is recommended to incentivize universities, research institutes, and companies, and to combine R&D with clinical practice and virus prevention and control to accelerate this science-based process. Subject to ensuring national security, data concerning the virus and cases should be shared in our scientific and technological circles, with the exception of those that are confidential for legal reasons. We should bring together specialists in clinical medicine, epidemiology, and virology to study the transmissibility, infectiousness, and some other vital features of the novel coronavirus and to achieve effective results as soon as possible. Experts and researchers are encouraged to sharpen their sense of responsibility and professional duty so that they generate more professional opinions and suggestions based on scientific research. Reinforce CPC Central leadership over the epidemic response. Part of the speech at a meeting on coordinating the epidemic response with economic and social development. February 23rd, 2020. When the coronavirus struck, the CPC Central Committee responded to the emergency immediately, exercising overall leadership over all fronts in the epidemic response and making timely decisions. On January 7th, I presided over a meeting of the Standing Committee of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee and issued instructions on our epidemic response. On January 20th, I issued further instructions requiring party committees and governments at all levels and the competent authorities to put people's lives and health above all else and to take resolute and effective action to stem the spread of the virus. On January 25th, the first day of the Chinese New Year, I presided over another meeting of the Standing Committee of the Political Bureau on Epidemic Control and made further plans to mobilize more resources to contain the virus. We decided to set up the Central Leading Group for Coronavirus Response and send a Central Steering Group to Hubei Province to oversee the local epidemic response. We also instructed the State Council to make well-coordinated efforts through its joint prevention and control mechanism. After that, I chaired 3 more meetings of the Standing Committee of the Political Bureau and 1 meeting of the Political Bureau, all to discuss ways to conduct epidemic control and reopen the economy. On February 10th, I inspected epidemic prevention and control work in Beijing. I talked online to frontline health workers in Wuhan City and the rest of Hubei, and heard the reports of the Central Steering Group and the Hubei Epidemic Response Command Center. I also chaired meetings of the Central Commission for Law-Based Governance, the Central Cyberspace Affairs Commission, the Central Commission for Further Reform, and the Central Commission for Foreign Affairs, setting requirements for response measures on different fronts. The Party Central Committee issued the Notice on Strengthening Party Leadership and Providing Strong Political Support for the Epidemic Response. I have closely followed progress in virus control and given verbal and written instructions daily. With timely planning and action by the Central Leading Group for Coronavirus Response, specific directions and coordination from the Central Steering Group, strong coordination by the State Council, joint prevention and control mechanism, and strenuous efforts by party committees and governments at all levels, a powerful synergy has been formed in the race to fight the virus. True heroes will emerge in times of adversity. In this arduous battle, members and officials of party organizations at all levels have rushed to the front and fought fearlessly as the vanguard. Our health workers have proved their dedication to their profession, shouldering this daunting mission and working around the clock to save lives. Officers and soldiers of the People's Liberation Army have swiftly responded to the call of duty and fought some of the toughest battles, demonstrating their loyalty to the party and the people. Our people have stood together in solidarity. The people of Wuhan and other parts of Hubei in particular put the greater interests of the country in the first place, and have shown unmatched perseverance and tenacity in their support for epidemic control. Police officers, epidemic control workers, and community workers have worked around the clock. Media workers have rushed to the front line to cover the battle, heedless of the risks they face. A vast number of volunteers have made a major contribution through their devotion and service. All party and government ministries, departments, and commissions have fulfilled their duties. They include those in charge of public health, development and reform, industry and information technology, commerce, foreign affairs, international communication, transport, agriculture and rural affairs, emergency management, finance, culture and tourism, science and technology, education, market regulation, social security and basic medical insurance, natural resources, the eco-environment, state-owned assets, and forestry and grasslands, those responsible for discipline inspection, supervision over the exercise of state power, party organization, public communications, and united front work, and those responsible for judicial, prosecuting, and public security affairs. People's Congresses at all levels, CPPCC national and local committees, and people's organizations have actively taken on their responsibilities and lent strong support to epidemic control. All sectors of society and our compatriots in Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan, and overseas have donated money and supplies, extending a helping hand when it was most needed. Strengthen COVID-19 control and promote economic and social development. Part of the speech at a meeting on strengthening COVID-19 control and economic and social development, February 23, 2020. The economy and society, being dynamic in nature, cannot stop functioning for long. While ensuring effective COVID-19 control, we should resume the operation of enterprises and public institutions and restore the normal order of people's work and life in places that are less affected by coronavirus. This is necessary in order to ensure adequate supplies for disease control, people's livelihoods, and social stability. This is essential for us to meet the goals for this year's economic and social development, finish the building of a moderately prosperous society in all respects, and meet the goals of the 13th Five-Year Plan for Economic and Social Development. It is also important to our opening up initiative and to global economic stability. COVID-19 will inevitably exert a negative impact on the economy and society. In such a challenging time, we must be more confident about our development in the long run and view it from a comprehensive and dialectical perspective. Generally speaking, our economy has maintained a positive trend despite the occurrence of COVID-19, which will not last long and will be brought under control. To achieve this year's goals of socioeconomic development, we must unleash our great potential and momentum by turning pressure into motivation and crisis into opportunity, by restoring the normal order to business and people's lives, by taking solid measures to stabilize employment, finance, foreign trade, inbound investment, domestic investment, and market expectations, and by strengthening policy adjustment. First, adopting a region-specific, tiered, and targeted approach to reopen the economy. The outbreak of COVID-19 made it hard for us to pool resources in a short time to control it. Now, when the situation has stabilized, we also face two challenges: strengthening COVID-19 control and reopening the economy. A one-size-fits-all approach for different places will impede the restoration of economic and social order. However, relaxing controls indiscriminately will only put all our gains at risk. Based on these considerations, at the meeting of the Standing Committee of the Political Bureau on February 12th, I proposed a region-specific tiered and differentiated approach for coronavirus control in less affected areas. Now, 1,396 counties and districts, 46% of the total number in the country, have no confirmed cases, and some counties and districts only have a few cases and basically no new cases. The authorities of these low-risk localities should quickly shift their focus to preventing inbound transmission and restoring their economic and social order. The authorities in medium-level risk areas should reopen the economy as progress in COVID-19 control allows, and those in high-risk areas should continue to focus on COVID-19 control. As the situation continues to improve, the authorities of provinces that meet the criteria should lower their response levels and make the appropriate adjustments. Second, adjusting macroeconomic regulation. Macro policies, which are an effective way of making counter-cyclic adjustments, should be exercised with the right pace and intensity to offset the adverse impacts of COVID-19, protect the economy from an excessive slowdown, and prevent short-term impacts from turning into directional change. We should give the proactive fiscal policy another boost and see that subsidized interest rates, large-scale fee reductions, and tax deferrals deliver benefit to enterprises as soon as possible. We should continue to make phased and targeted tax and fees reductions, lend more support to some sectors in resuming operation, and help micro, small, and medium-sized businesses survive these difficult times. The surplus funds of some central government departments should be pooled and used on COVID-19 control and key expenditures. Large transfer payments should be made to localities whose government revenues are affected more by COVID-19. To ensure pay for local government employees, keep the government functioning, and meet people's basic living needs. The issuance of special local government bonds should be expanded in scale, and the structure of local government budgetary investment should be improved. A prudent monetary policy should be pursued with greater flexibility as called for. Support for the resumption of the operation of the real economy should be strengthened. Current financial support policies should be fully used, and new policy measures should be enacted at the right time. To help businesses that are returning to work to repay debts, ensure capital turnover, and expand financing, we should provide financial support such as special credit lines for key COVID-19 control areas, more severely affected industries, private businesses, and micro and small businesses. We should adjust the schedule for repayment of capital and interest by enterprises, facilitate loan extension and renewal, and reduce or appropriately exempt loan interest to micro and small businesses so that they will not run out of operating funds. Third, taking forceful and comprehensive measures to stabilize employment. We should give priority to employment, adjust policy measures as conditions change, ease corporate burdens, keep jobs stable, and expand employment. We should implement policies that support the special reduction and exemption of social insurance contributions, return unemployment insurance premiums to enterprises that have protected jobs despite difficulties, and provide subsidies to people who have just joined the workforce or started businesses. More targeted measures should be taken based on the conditions of localities and industries to support those enterprises experiencing severe labor shortages, those struggling to protect jobs, and key groups of people having difficulty finding employment. Migrant workers in low-risk localities should be encouraged to return to work, and door-to-door pickup services should be provided to transport them from their homes to their destinations. We should support flexible employment in various forms and help individual businesses reopen as soon as possible. We should promote online unemployment registration and online application for unemployment insurance benefits and make sure all eligible individuals get their benefits in full. We should help graduating college students find jobs by providing services related to graduation recruitment, job application, and acceptance. Fourth, eradicating extreme poverty as planned. Poverty eradication is scheduled for this year. We already face a tough challenge. Now we must work harder to offset the impact of COVID-19 and spare no effort in our fight against poverty. Direct channels should be established between source locations of migrant workforce and their employment destinations, and we should help migrant workers from poor areas resume work in an orderly fashion. We should help leading enterprises and workshops involved in poverty alleviation to resume operations so as to create jobs locally. We should help farmers in poor areas find buyers for their agricultural and livestock products. We should move faster to establish a mechanism for preventing people from falling back into poverty and to take timely steps to help those who have fallen back into poverty due to COVID-19 or other reasons to ensure their basic living needs are met. Fifth, promoting the resumption of business operations. We should take a region-specific tiered and targeted approach to COVID-19 control, which means removing transport bottlenecks to enable unimpeded movement of people and logistics and ease controls on freight. We should see that workers can return to their jobs, raw materials can reach factories, and finished products are delivered. The industrial chain is an interlocked system requiring the functioning of all links. If one link fails to function, both upstream and downstream businesses will be affected. Production and distribution links of the industrial chain across regions should be closely connected so that they can resume operations at the same time. We should expand effective domestic demand, work faster on ongoing and new projects, ensure the supply of labor, land, and capital, make good use of central government budgets for investment, special bond funds, and policy finance, and invest in sectors where it is mostly appropriate. COVID-19 poses both a challenge and an opportunity for industrial development. While some traditional industries are bracing for a negative impact, smart manufacturing, unmanned delivery, online consumption, healthcare, and other emerging industries have great potential for growth. We should take advantage of this opportunity to upgrade traditional industries and develop emerging industries. Sixth, losing no time in carrying out spring farming. Spring farming has started from south to north. We must solve pressing problems affecting production, circulation, and provision of agricultural materials in time for sowing and plowing. Agricultural production must also begin in Hubei and other badly affected provinces adjusted to local conditions. Excessive restrictions on farmers working in open fields should be lifted to ensure timely planning. We must continue to strengthen control over African swine fever, HPAI, and other major animal epidemics and develop animal husbandry and aquaculture. Seventh, meeting basic living needs. COVID-19 has directly affected people's incomes. This, plus growing prices, may make life harder for some people. Provincial governors must ensure the supply of rice and other staple foods, and city mayors the supply of meat and vegetables. We must watch closely the impact of COVID-19 on supply and demand, ensure the supply of daily necessities, and keep prices from rising too fast. Vital services should continue during COVID-19 control, and services that people need most in daily life should be resumed in an orderly fashion. Relief for groups in need should be strengthened, and local authorities may give higher special price subsidies if they have the ability to do so. Special attention should be given to families of COVID-19 patients and families who have lost members to meet their basic living needs. Government officials should pay more visits to elderly people with no family, children from poor families, and people with serious diseases and disabilities who are in isolation at home. Acts in violation of social ethics must be prevented. Treatment and medicines should be provided for patients suffering from acute and severe conditions, patients with chronic diseases, and all other patients seeking medical care. Eighth, ensuring normal foreign trade and foreign investment operations. We should ensure the smooth operation of industrial and supply chains in foreign trade and maintain our share of the international market. We should make good use of export tax rebates, export credit insurance, and other trade policy tools that comply with due criteria, and expand export credits and relax the conditions for insurance underwriting and claims as appropriate. We should streamline customs clearance procedures, cut port inspection and quarantine charges, and provide more convenient foreign exchange services. Local governments are encouraged to retain existing foreign investment and attract more investment and launch key projects. We should further open up finance and other services, continue to improve the business environment, and attract and retain foreign investment so as to boost international confidence in long-term investment and business operation in China. Turn the fighting spirit against COVID-19 into a powerful force for national rejuvenation. Part of the speech at a national gathering to honor outstanding individuals and groups in the fight against the COVID-19 epidemic. September 8th, 2020. The great strategic success we have achieved in the fight against COVID-19 is a testament to the strengths of the leadership of the CPC, China's socialist system, the Chinese people, and the Chinese nation. Our profound cultural heritage, and our sense of mission as a responsible major country. This success has significantly boosted the confidence, pride, unity, and cohesion of the entire party and all the Chinese people. It will inspire us to keep forging ahead over all obstacles on our journey in the new era. In the fierce battle against COVID-19, the Chinese people and the Chinese nation have shown extraordinary mettle and fought courageously for victory. While fighting the virus, we have put life above all else, rallied the entire country, braved danger, respected science, and stood together through adversity. Putting life above all else embodies the Chinese people's deep-rooted tradition of compassion and the people-centered philosophy of China's communists. As an ancient Chinese philosopher said, compassion means loving, and helping others. Footnote, Zhuangzi. This is a collection of writings by Zhuangzhou and other scholars. Zhuangzhou, circa 369 to 286 BC, also known as Zhuangzi, was a Taoist philosopher in the Warring States period. End of footnote 1. Human compassion will prevail over the merciless virus. Life is the most precious of all things, for we only live once. Once lost, life can never be restored. When lives are at stake, we must protect them at all costs. A promise we are capable of delivering because the fundamental mission of our party is to serve the people wholeheartedly, and because ours is a socialist country run by the people. We took the decisive step of closing outbound traffic from Wuhan City and the rest of Hubei province and put in place control measures unprecedented in their stringency. This was a decision that required enormous political courage and a strong sense of responsibility, but we were prepared to do whatever it took to protect the lives of the people, from newborn babies just 30 hours old to elderly people over the age of 100, and from international students to other foreign expatriates in the country. Every life was fully protected, valued, and respected. All this best illustrates the people-centered governance philosophy of our party, the Chinese ethos and ethics that human life is invaluable, and the Chinese people's reverence for life. Rallying the entire country embodies the great strength of unity that enables us to stand together through thick and thin, despite the huge physical and mental stress caused by the mortal threat of the virus and long stretches of time under quarantine. Our people refused to back down in the face of challenges and dangers. In their own ways, they bravely contributed to epidemic control, either rushing to the front line or holding firm at their posts. Our people across the country united as one with a single purpose in mind. We knew what was at stake, the well-being of every one of us, the common interests of our communities, and the safety of our nation. Doctors and nurses in white coats, military personnel in green uniforms, police officers in blue gear, and volunteers in red vests all played their part. Party members rushed to the front line, and their pledge to keep fighting until the virus was defeated has shown their loyalty to the party and the people. The 1.4 billion Chinese have stood together, shoulder to shoulder, side by side, and proved an important truth. In unity there is strength. Braving danger embodies the indomitable will of the Chinese people to overcome whatever difficulties we encounter. At the moment of crisis when COVID-19 struck, everyone responded heroically. People fighting the virus on various fronts rose to the challenge, put themselves in harm's way, and risked their own lives. They performed their duty with compassion and protected others with their own lives. Among them was a hospital president who, himself infected, gave up the chance to save his own life so he could give hope to other patients. There was a husband who could not give his wife the wedding he had promised. There was a mother who lost her life at her post, saving others, and never returned home to her young child. The Chinese have confronted the rampant virus head-on, like explorers pushing into the mountains undaunted by the presence of stalking tigers, and together we have written a moving epic. The reason that the Chinese nation has been able to thrive despite countless disasters is never because of a savior, but thanks to hundreds of millions of ordinary people stepping forward to brave the dark for others. Respecting science embodies the Chinese character of pragmatism and innovation. Faced with an unknown infectious disease, we maintained a rational mindset and attitude and followed the laws of science in all respects and throughout the process of decision-making, treatment, research, and social governance. In the absence of proven effective medicines, we used both Western medicine and traditional Chinese medicine and upgraded national diagnostic and treatment protocols 8 times. We identified traditional Chinese and Western medicines and treatment methods that have proved effective in clinical practice, including the 3 TCM drugs and 3 herbal formulas, and they have been adopted or used as references by several countries. Footnote 2. The 3 TCM drugs are Jinhua Qinggan granules, Lianhua Qingwen capsules / granules, and Shui Bi Jing injection. The 3 herbal formulas are lung cleansing and detoxifying preparation, dampness resolving and detoxifying preparation, and lung diffusing and detoxifying preparation. End of footnote 2. We raced to build temporary treatment centers, conducted vaccine research through multiple technical approaches, carried out nucleic acid testing on a massive scale, traced infections with big data, and introduced health code verification, implemented differentiated tiered response measures tailored to different localities, and promoted the orderly resumption of work. All the results have justified our respect for rational thinking and equipped us with powerful scientific and technological tools to help us defeat the epidemic. Standing together through adversity embodies the Chinese people's love for peace and commitment to looking out for others. A noble cause is never a lonely pursuit, and compassion knows no borders. Upholding the belief that all countries are members of one and the same family, we take responsibility for the lives and health of the Chinese people. We also make due contribution to global public health security. We have launched the most wide-ranging and intense emergency humanitarian assistance campaign since the founding of the PRC in 1949, and have contributed to the global fight against COVID-19 on an ongoing basis. China has proved to be a responsible major country that honors its word, values friendship, upholds justice, and champions integrity, a country committed to pursuing a more harmonious world and building a global community of shared future. Just as inner strength is indispensable for individuals, it is also essential for nations. Indeed, only with inner strength can a nation stand tall and firm while weathering the tide of challenging times. The ability to overcome difficulties demands not only material resources, but also an indomitable will. The great spirit that we have forged in the battle against COVID-19 is deeply rooted in the character of the Chinese nation and our cultural genes. It carries and builds on patriotism, collectivism, and socialism, and illustrates and enriches the ethos of both our nation and our times. We should promote this great spirit in our society and turn it into a powerful force for building a modern socialist country and realizing the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. To know the flavor of a thing, one must taste it. To know what lies ahead on a path, one must walk it. Footnote 3. Liu Ji. Anadiplosis. Ni Lian Ju. Liu Ji, 1311 to 1375, also known as Liu Bowen, was a statesman and writer of the Ming Dynasty. End of footnote 3. In this heroic battle against the coronavirus, we have accumulated important experience and gained deep insights. The fight against COVID-19 has once again demonstrated that the strong leadership of the Communist Party of China is the pillar that the people can rely on when crisis strikes. Our party comes from the people and has its roots among them. Everything it does is for the people, and it relies on the people in everything it does. The party has thus earned the wholehearted and unwavering support of the public, which provides a broad and solid foundation for its leadership and governance of the country. When the virus struck, the central leadership immediately called on all party members to rush to the front line and keep the party flag flying high in the battle against the virus. This fully demonstrates the sense of mission and strength of character of China's communists. Throughout the battle, party members across the country have kept the original aspiration and founding mission of our party firmly in mind and lived up to their exemplary role. Over 25,000 outstanding individuals swore their oaths and joined the party on the front line. It is precisely because of the leadership of the party and the support given to the party by the people across the country that China has achieved rapid economic growth and lasting social stability, a remarkable achievement by any standard. With this leadership and support, we have responded swiftly to emergencies such as floods, earthquakes, and the SARS epidemic, and emerged from the battle against COVID-19. History and our experience have shown that as long as we uphold and strengthen the party's overall leadership and reinforce its ability to provide political leadership and theoretical guidance, to organize and inspire the people, and to maintain close bonds between the party and the people, we will create a powerful synergy that enables us to deal with all complexities, risks, and challenges. The fight against COVID-19 has once again demonstrated that the unyielding will of the Chinese people is the source of strength that enables us to overcome all obstacles and difficulties as we move forward. Hard times have put us to the test and made us stronger. It is by facing all odds with tenacity and perseverance that we have been able to resist foreign aggression, fight to keep our country together when it was being torn apart, build the country up from a base of utter destitution, and keep pace with a changing world. This is why the Chinese nation now stands tall and proud among the nations of the world. For centuries, the Chinese people have been known for resilience, cohesiveness, tenacity, and creativity, and we are all proud to be called Chinese. History and our experience have shown that as long as we rely on the people, do everything with their interests in mind, and encourage their indomitable will and determination, we will be able to forge stronger unity and bring new glory to our nation. The fight against COVID-19 has once again demonstrated that the strengths of China's socialist system make it possible for us to diffuse risks, resolve challenges, and strengthen the governance of our country. An important criterion for judging the success and strengths of a country's system is whether it is able to mobilize the whole nation to respond to major risks and challenges. With China's socialist system, we have a great capacity to mobilize, coordinate, and take action, as well as a unique ability to pool resources to complete a major, difficult, and urgent undertakings. The fight against COVID-19 is a vivid illustration of the strengths of China's state and governance systems. History and our experience have shown that as long as we uphold and improve China's socialist system, modernize China's governance system and capacity, and fully leverage the ability of our system to respond to risks and challenges, we will be able to withstand the trials we face, turn challenges into opportunities, and emerge stronger time and time again. The fight against COVID-19 has once again demonstrated that the robust strength our country has built up since the founding of the People's Republic has given us the confidence to navigate stormy seas with composure. Over the years, China has built up solid material foundations, a complete system of industries, strong scientific and technological capabilities, and abundant medical resources, all of which have underpinned our effective epidemic response. After the virus struck, we took swift action to mobilize people and supplies, intensify research, and gather and transport essential materials. At the height of the epidemic, much of China's economic and social development was put on hold, but people's lives were not seriously affected, and society generally carried on as normal. This is, in essence, attributable to the composite national strength that China has built up since the founding of the People's Republic, and particularly since the launch of reform and opening up in 1978. And to China's ability to fully leverage this strength in times of crisis. History and our experience have shown that we will be able to ensure that the great ship of Chinese socialism can cleave the waves and sail steadily into the future, as long as we continue to unleash and develop productive forces, build our economic strength, scientific and technological capabilities, and composite national strength, give people a stronger sense of gain, fulfillment, and security, and steadily boost the material foundations for upholding and developing Chinese socialism and realizing the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. The fight against COVID-19 has once again demonstrated that the core socialist values and traditional Chinese culture are a powerful force for inspiring our people, rallying their support, and pooling their strength. Footnote 4. The core socialist values, prosperity, democracy, civility, and harmony are values that underpin our nation. Freedom, equality, justice, and the rule of law are values that buttress our society. Patriotism, dedication, good faith, and amity are values that underlie individual conduct. End of footnote 4. Cultural confidence is the most essential, profound, and enduring source of strength for a country. A culture featuring the pursuit of excellence and virtue serves as a crucial bond, bringing the people and the nation to stand together as one. Throughout history, we Chinese have always cherished deep feelings for our nation, the same way as we do for our family. We hold dear the values of putting one's interests aside for the common good, fulfilling one's duties to secure the future of the nation, standing together through times of adversity, looking out for one another, and respecting the elderly and caring for the young. We also believe that with freedom comes self-restraint, and with rights come responsibilities. In the fight against COVID-19, the 1.4 billion Chinese have forged a powerful line of defense by acting with a keen sense of responsibility, self-discipline, dedication, compassion, unity, and solidarity. History and our experience have shown that as long as we foster and live by the core socialist values and keep the best of traditional Chinese culture alive, we will be able to create a wellspring of inspiration and motivation for all the people across the country to forge ahead together. The fight against COVID-19 has once again demonstrated that the endeavor to build a global community of shared future has wide appeal. And it is the right approach in tackling humanity's common challenges and shaping a more prosperous and beautiful world. In a way, COVID-19 is a wake-up call for the world, reminding us that our destinies are intertwined and that no country can afford to go it alone in the face of such a major crisis. What we should do is to work together as a team. Those who act out of self-interest, assign blame to others, twist facts, or call black white will end up harming not only their own country and people, but many other peoples around the world. History and our experience have shown that as long as all countries are committed to building a global community of shared future, upholding multilateralism and boosting unity and cooperation, the people of the world will be able to meet whatever challenges we face and make this planet a beautiful home for all of us. Changes on a scale unseen in a century are gripping the world at an accelerating pace, and the tasks of advancing reform, promoting development, and maintaining stability are arduous as we move on from the first centenary goal towards the second centenary goal. We must fully implement our party's underlying theories, basic guidelines, and fundamental principles, and act on the general principle of pursuing progress while ensuring stability. We must follow the new development philosophy and focus on creating the new development dynamic. We must pay sufficient attention to both domestic and international imperatives, pursue development while safeguarding security, and modernize our system and capacity for governance. This will enable us to continuously advance the cause of the party and the state. In the coming period, we must focus on the following tasks. We will steadfastly implement regularized control measures and work to prevail over COVID-19. The virus is still spreading around the world. In our country, the risk of sporadic cases and local surges still exists. Fully defeating this virus thus requires a consistent effort. We must remain vigilant, work tirelessly, and take comprehensive and effective steps to prevent both inbound cases and domestic resurgence. We must adopt normalized and targeted control measures and be ready to address isolated emergencies. We must not, under any circumstances, let the hard-won progress we have made against the epidemic go to waste. We need to step up our efforts to develop medicines and vaccines, carry out extensive public health campaigns, upgrade public health facilities, and raise the cultural and ethical quality of the whole nation. We must ensure public health and epidemic control in all communities so that they will form a strong line of defense against the virus across the country. We will take solid steps to stabilize the 6 fronts and guarantee the 6 priorities so as to meet our goals of eradicating extreme poverty and building a moderately prosperous society. Footnote 5. The 6 fronts are employment, finance, foreign trade, inbound investment, domestic investment, and market expectations. End of footnote 5. Footnote 6. The 6 priorities are jobs, daily living needs, food and energy security, industrial and supply chains, the operation of market players, and the smooth functioning of grassroots government. End of footnote 6. Returning to the main text. We need to boost confidence and redouble our efforts to make up for lost time and repair the damage caused by the coronavirus. We will put in place medium and long-term mechanisms for coordinating epidemic response with economic and social development. We will continue to prioritize supply-side structural reform, extend reform and opening up, and expand domestic demand as a strategic pivot. We should protect and boost the vigor of market entities, fully implement macro policies to deliver their intended effects, and reinforce the stability and competitiveness of industrial and supply chains. We will mobilize resources and intensify efforts to resolve prominent problems and strengthen weak links in poverty elimination. We will always bear in mind the interests of our people, help them resolve difficulties they encounter in employment, income, education, social security, medical insurance, and housing, and take solid steps to ensure and improve their well-being. We will move more quickly to strengthen weak links in our governance and provide sound institutional safeguards for the health and safety of the people. COVID-19 is an intense challenge to our system and capacity for governance. We should act swiftly to address problems, plug loopholes, and reinforce weak points in our institutions and mechanisms, so as to raise our ability to tackle major public health emergencies. We will build a robust public health system, improve our disease prevention and control system, and establish a major epidemic prevention, control, and treatment system that works in times of both peace and emergency. We will strengthen legal safeguards and scientific and technological support for public health, upgrade our capacity for stockpiling emergency supplies to ensure their provision, and consolidate community-level efforts to underpin interdepartmental and society-wide prevention and control. We will improve the systems for urban governance and for urban and rural grassroots governance, embrace a vision of comprehensive urban health management, and make overall social governance more efficient. We should stay alert to biorisks and upgrade our country's capacity for biorisk management. We will uphold the vision of a global community of shared future and work with the international community to tackle global challenges that are growing in severity. China will continue to promote international cooperation against the coronavirus, support the WHO's leading role in the global response, and share with other countries its experience in COVID-19 prevention, control, and treatment. As the largest supplier of medical supplies, we will continue to provide assistance to vulnerable countries and regions and contribute to building a global community of health for all. We will expand mutually beneficial cooperation with other countries, continue to promote economic globalization, uphold the multilateral trading system, and maintain the secure and smooth functioning of global industrial and supply chains, thus making our contribution to the speedy recovery of the global economy. We are ready to work with other countries to establish more inclusive global governance, build more effective multilateral mechanisms, and pursue more active regional cooperation. We will work together to address regional disputes and global issues such as terrorism, climate change, cybersecurity threats, and biorisks in a common pursuit of a brighter future for humanity. We must always have plans in place for worst-case scenarios, stay vigilant against potential dangers, and effectively forestall and diffuse any risks we may encounter on the road ahead. Just as a rainbow appears after rain, opportunities are born out of challenges. This embodies an eternal law of dialectics. Never in the 100 years of party history, the 7 decades of the People's Republic, or the 4 decades of reform and opening up have we experienced completely untroubled waters. Success and progress are reserved for those who face challenges head-on rather than looking for an easy way out. We must gain a full understanding of major domestic and international trends, strengthen strategic, systematic, and forward-thinking research and planning, and be prepared in both thought and deed to face long periods of change in the external environment. We must foster new opportunities amid crises and open up new horizons on a shifting landscape. We must maintain our fighting spirit, gathering the courage and capability to surmount all difficulties. We should adapt our tactics to evolving circumstances, rally all available forces, and mobilize all favorable factors as we strive towards new victories in the great historic struggle with many new features. Just as heaven maintains vigor through movement, a gentleman makes unremitting efforts to perfect himself. Footnote 7, Book of Changes, Zhou, also known as I Ching, I Ching. This book is one of the Confucian classics. End of footnote 7. A nation is great because it never gives up, never retreats, and never stops moving forward. No matter what setbacks it faces, it will keep fighting for a better future. The Chinese people have experienced both hardship and glory in our 5,000 years of civilization, and we will continue to forge ahead on our great journey in the new era. No force or individual can stop the Chinese people from seeking a better life. Let us unite closer, carry forward the heroic spirit against COVID-19, and forge ahead with resolve. Let us strive to reach our goals of building a moderately prosperous society in all respects and winning the battle against poverty, and achieve new historic successes in the building of a modern socialist country. Respond to COVID-19 with a dedicated effort. Main points of the speech at a meeting of the Standing Committee of the Political Bureau of the 19th CPC Central Committee. March 17th, 2022. Since May 2020, when we started to conduct COVID-19 prevention and control on a regular basis, we have spared no effort to prevent both inbound cases and domestic resurgence. We have improved our targeted response capabilities and taken region-specific, tiered, and differentiated prevention and control measures. We have also acted swiftly to stamp out local outbreaks wherever they occurred. Our efforts have protected people's lives and health to the greatest possible extent. China has continued to lead the world in both economic development and epidemic prevention and control, and this fully demonstrates our country's strong epidemic response capabilities and the strengths of CPC leadership and China's socialist system. Perseverance will be rewarded. All provincial authorities, central departments, and sectors should be fully aware of the complexity and difficulty of epidemic prevention and control and the volatility of the epidemic at home and abroad. We should mobilize, be of one mind, stay confident, and respond to COVID-19 with dedicated efforts. We should always put the people and their lives first, take a science-based and targeted approach to implement the dynamic zero-COVID policy, and act promptly to curb the spread of the virus. We should continue our science-based and targeted COVID-19 response and improve response measures. We should expedite the research and development of vaccines, medicines, and rapid test reagents, and make our response more targeted. We should always be confident in our response strategy, pursue progress while ensuring stable performance, and promote economic and social development while containing the disease. We should also adopt more effective measures, ensure the most effective response possible at reasonable cost, and minimize the impact of COVID-19 on society and the economy. End of Part 5.